5 new construction communities in Montgomery County, 5 completely different stories about where buyers stand right now. One of them has less than 2 months of supply. Builders there know exactly what they've got. Another is sitting at 7 months, and that gap changes everything about how you walk into a negotiation. If you don't know which one you're in, you could be leaving thousands of dollars of negotiating room on the table. Our team runs this analysis every month across the county, and the question we hear most from families relocating here is this: which community actually fits our budget and our life? That question determines how this whole thing goes. So I ran the June numbers on 5 specific new construction communities. I want you to walk into whichever one you choose, knowing exactly what the data says about your position. So let's go through them one at a time. First up is Mavera, and if you want amenities without the hefty price tag, this is your spot. We're talking a resort-style pool with cabanas, a splash pad, scenic community lakes, walking trails, and here's the one I have never seen anywhere else in North Houston, a beer garden. I have been to every major community up here, and Mavera is the only one I've seen that has it. That is not a small thing. That's where you meet your neighbors and where you decompress on a Friday after a long week. Pickleball courts are coming too. It sits right on the State Highway 242 corridor in East Conroe, about 15 to 20 minutes from the Woodlands, and it feeds into Conroe ISD's Caney Creek feeder. Now here's the data that matters. The median new construction sales price in Mavera right now is $290,257, and inventory just 1.6 months. That is the tightest supply of any community on this list. Builders here know that they're selling in a desirable area. You're not walking in with a lot of wiggle room, but you are getting a brand new home in an amenity-rich master plan community at a price that's well below what you'd pay right down the street. So if Mavera fits how your family actually lives, it's worth a close look at current pricing. Now here's the one I really want you to pay attention to. Granger Pointe is a Meritage Homes community in southeast Conroe, actually right down the street from Mavera. And I want to be honest with you about what it is and what it isn't. It does not have the resort-style amenities of Mavera or ARTAVIA, which we'll be talking about here soon. But this area is genuinely up and coming. It's beautiful to drive through, and more businesses and stores are opening nearby every few months. Meritage builds a beautiful home with lots of attention to detail, and all the clients I've worked with in the past who have purchased from them have been beyond happy. It's zoned to Conroe ISD's Caney Creek feeder, same as Mavera. The median new construction sales price here is $236,715. That is actually the lowest of any community on this list. Price per square foot comes in at $156, and the sale to list ratio, 100%. Buyers are paying full ask because at this price point, they know the value. Meritage frequently throws in a washer, dryer, and refrigerator, and they build to Energy Star standards. This is the entry door into new construction in Montgomery County, and it's genuinely hard to beat on value. And also, don't confuse this with Granger Pines, which is right next door. That's a completely different community. Now, if Granger Pointe and Mavera feel a little too entry level for you, Silverthorne is a step up on the northeast side of Conroe. And the amenity package here actually surprised me. We're talking an amenity lawn with pickleball, a fitness center, a pavilion, a full event lawn with a fire pit, and a huge community center. All of that for a very reasonable HOA. Silverthorne is a D.R. Horton community with a more traditional neighborhood feel, so clean streets, good lot sizes, farmhouse elevations, which I personally love, and a family environment without the master plan price premium. It feeds into Conroe High, which is rated a bit higher than Caney Creek on paper. So if the school district is a deciding factor for you and your family, that is worth noting. The median sales price on new construction here is $342,495 at $159 per square foot. The sale to list ratio is 99.1%, so buyers are also approaching full ask here. Inventory sits at 3.6 months, more balanced than Mavera, still not a market though where sellers are desperate. And because D.R. Horton is a high volume builder, there are still deals to be found here if you know what to ask for. Now we start getting into move up territory. The Woodlands Hills is in Willis, just north of Conroe, and this one genuinely feels like its own little town. There are offset neighborhood sections within it, so it never feels like one giant subdivision. Tons of preserved green space, which means the trees are actually there still. It's not bulldozed down like some neighborhoods. There's pet stations all along the walking trails. And what's really cool for me, because I have 2 little kids, is there's 20 parks connected by sidewalks and trails all throughout the community. And honestly, between the recreation center, the walking trails, and just the way it's laid out, it's the kind of place where you almost never need to leave or want to leave. The Woodlands Hills feeds into Willis ISD, which is an up-and-coming district. It's not yet rated as high as Conroe is, and that's the honest trade-off worth knowing before you make a decision here. And pause on that for a second, because that trade-off is also a part of the reason that pricing here is still negotiable. The median sales price in June was $399,995 at $172 per square foot. But here's the number that actually matters: 7 months of inventory. That is buyer's market territory. Sellers here have competition right now from each other and from the builders. This number does include some resale homes, but if you've been thinking about this community, now is genuinely a great time to have that conversation. There is still real negotiating room on the table here. And then there's ARTAVIA. If you've done any research at all on Montgomery County new construction, you've definitely seen ARTAVIA come up. And there's a reason for that. This community has a personality unlike anything else up in this area. They have what are called artscapes, which are basically sculptures, statues, different designs, all scattered throughout the community, intermixed with nature. So as you're walking around, it just gives this really cool, interesting vibe. There's all kinds of parks, trails, and outdoor spaces designed to actually bring people together, not just fill up a map. The scenery there is gorgeous, and they have a resort-style amenity village, including a cafe and a school right there on site. ARTAVIA feeds into Conroe ISD's Caney Creek feeder, and honestly, what makes this neighborhood different is that it's designed so residents can meet one another and connect. It's one of those communities where you just don't want to leave because everything is right there. The median new construction sales price here in ARTAVIA is $478,500 at $171 per square foot. Now, I know what you're thinking. With a price tag like that, is there actually any room to move? Here's what the data says. Inventory here sits at 5.2 months, and that puts ARTAVIA more toward a buyer's market. Builders here are carrying more supply than they want on hand, and they're competing for your business in a way that they simply weren't a year ago. If the budget stretches here, it's worth every dollar for the right family. So we just hit on 5 communities with 5 completely different stories. The family that walks in knowing which one matches both their budget and their life, that's the family that wins. If you're relocating to Montgomery County and want a clear picture of where you stand, grab our free Montgomery County relocation guide. The link is below. And if you want to understand the bigger market picture before you decide, watch this next. I break down exactly the reason Montgomery County looks like a buyer's market on the surface, but isn't quite that simple underneath.